I think a lot of people that have been viewers of mine over the years know that I spent a lot of my professional career in the litigation arena, and I can tell you that you'll go in for a hearing, a trial, and it's not unusual for something to come up and the judge to say, we're going to have to continue this for 2 days or till tomorrow or sometimes a week or whatever. And if you're a defendant and you've scraped together the money for a testifying expert, and maybe that expert is at Mass General or Miami or somewhere, you get the expert and they fly in. You have to pay for their time, round-trip airfare and lodging, and plus their time to be there. You do all that, then they get there and they go, oh, well, sorry, this is going to happen next Tuesday, not this Tuesday. Then they got to go home. Then you got to pay them again. And when they leave their practice or whatever, you have to pay for all of that. And then you have them come back. It could cost you anywhere from $5,000 to $50,000 to bring them back again. And so here he got the state to say, you've asked for a continuance, so you need to pay for our expert to come back. The court says yes, then they challenge it, so he can't have his expert again. It frustrates the hell out of me because prosecutors forget they're not paid to get convictions, they're paid to get justice. And if they're getting justice, then they should have a full hearing of all the evidence, all the experts, everybody on both sides, so somebody can understand exactly what happened on both sides. But that's not what they're after. They're not after justice, they're after a conviction. As Jason says, another notch in the belt. Let's mark this one down. Okay, so they go home with a win and they go to some bar and have a celebration. Yeah, we got a good conviction. We nailed this one. Yeah, but did you get justice? That's what you're paid to do. You work for the public. Did you get justice, or did you price a guy out of justice because you wouldn't let his expert get compensated and come back? And I think that's exactly what happened here. They priced him out and his expert can't come back. That should enrage everybody that's hearing it. That's prosecutorial abuse. They used their powers and persuaded the court and priced him out of having someone come in and testify as to the medical facts in this case. That's why I support him having a GoFundMe here to get the money to say to the court, no. They've set up a Give, Send, Go. I've got it up on the screen right now. It's givesendgo.com/free John Kinsel. What's the goal here? How much is he trying to raise so he gets a shot at justice after sitting in jail for 30-something years? How much does he need to raise here?
I mean, we're asking for $35,000, which is going to pay for, he needs 3 experts that are very pricey to prep and come down and stay in Louisiana and testify. At least it's going to be, each expert is going to be at least a day, which, as you know, Dr. Phil, could be 6 hours, which is, and then there's no guarantee that John is brought to court on time, and Jason knows how these post-conviction hearings go because of producing defendants from the state. So these are pricey endeavors, especially post-conviction, because of the difference between post-conviction and trial is no one is in a rush in post-conviction to do these hearings because they've already been convicted. So you have you have to deal with the prosecutor's trial schedule, you have to deal with the court's trial schedule, and sometimes the court has issues that'll take precedence over these post-conviction hearings. It's hard. And then you have to deal with the fact that corrections, oftentimes in every state that I've ever been in, which is, I don't know, it's over half a dozen practicing post-conviction work, has issues with bringing defendants to court. Because it's not like they're coming from the county jail. They're coming from a state prison. And sometimes corrections just doesn't bring them, or sometimes they bring them at 2 o'clock in the afternoon instead of 9 o'clock in the morning. So, I mean, this is, you need to have a war chest, so to speak. It's really unfortunate, which John did not have at trial. It was, in my opinion, gamesmanship what happened at trial. It absolutely is true. It was prosecutorial misconduct. It absolutely was. They bled him out essentially in order for him not to be able to defend himself. Okay, they stretched him thin, and that's what happened. We're not going to let that happen here.
And it's sad, Phil, because he was somebody who I think, like many people in your audience, was expecting that he would go to trial and his nightmare would be over. They'd see the truth. He was a law-abiding guy, and there was no crime committed. And I believe they would have seen the truth had these games not been played, and had he had a fair shot and had an expert. And now I look at it as $35,000 is what's the price of a life, right? And the life that, the lives that it'll touch, his relatives, his loved ones that he'll be able to be with, see his grandchildren, like play sports or whatever they do, go to their ballet, whatever they do, right? Karate, I don't know what they do, but whatever it is, he has every right to go and be a part of that family, his family. And 35,000, I want to put that in context. I mean, if we can save this man's life, and let him live out his days, in some degree of peace, that I would say that's the best money that could ever be spent. Now, it's also worth noting that Justin has been working on this case for years now, pro bono, right? So he's getting nothing out of this. You and I are getting nothing out of this. All we want, and our satisfaction and joy, is going to come from I'll be at that prison when he comes home. We'll walk him out together.
Oh,
I hope
betcha.
you'll join us there, and we'll be part of helping him get back into society and with whatever he may need. So, I think we all should want the scales of justice, as you said, to be tipped back in some kind of a fair way. And we can do that here for a small price. I mean, 35,000, that's what a used car. You can't even get a used car these days for that, right? So, I mean, if people can find it in their hearts, the give, send, go, by the way, if people aren't familiar, is used for legal, for cases, and you can't do this on GoFundMe. People may say, why isn't it GoFundMe? Well, give, send, go is the alternative that is the go-to for people who want to raise money for causes like this one. And I want to say too, Dr. Phil, this case, on top of the fact that we need these experts and we need to give him the fair shake that he was denied, however many years ago, decades ago that was. But let us also not forget that this should have never happened, because her mother had admitted from day one that she was a liar from the time she was a little kid. Some kids lie a lot, right? And that's part of growing up, and you learn that it's not right to do it, whatever. So her mom didn't think it made sense from the beginning. And then when the story evolved and she started changing the story, saying certain things happened at this person's house, that person's house, grandpa's house, the authorities never went to those places, never interviewed those people, never bothered to really look into it to find out, was there any truth to the story? And as the story kept changing and morphing and turning into different things, and it was inconsistent throughout, not only didn't they care, but let's not forget that they went to the mother and said, if you don't toe the line here, if you don't stop trying to, put some doubt into this process, we're going to take your other kids away. And that's not uncommon, unfortunately. That's a threat that they use in these cases to get somebody who's trying to do the right thing in this case, and often it is someone who's trying to do the right thing, to go along with their narrative that at some point, again, I have to say, I have to believe they must have known was a false narrative. And that's sickening. And last thing I'll say on this, Dr. Phil, is I believe, like I think you do, that we have an adversarial system where the prosecutor's trying to win and the defense attorney is trying to get justice for their client, innocent as they may be. And I believe what we need is an inquisitorial system where everyone is searching for the truth. And if we did, then these people would have access to experts. And as you said, Dr. Phil, if the trial has to be moved, then the government should be on the hook to say, okay, we're going to pay for this expert. We're going to level the playing field a little bit. It's never going to be even because the government has unlimited resources that they can devote to these things. And, you've got whatever you can, as you said, anything, whatever you can scrape up.